had a thought, or rather a question that I asked myself, as I typically do. And the question is, why is it that in like the school system, educational system, typically athletic programs get more budget, more money than arts programs, right? And that's not in all schools or districts or whatever, but in most of them, and a lot, that's typically what it is. And I think the answer is, all throughout society, sports have demonstrated value, right? Be it in the form of entertainment for people who love frequenting games, or even just monetary value and how much those games accrue, how much the players make, how much the teams make, merchandise, all that kind of stuff. So all throughout society, from TV to advertising to social media to whatever, the value of sports, for instance, is made clear. It's made clear, and a lot of that is a result of access. Saying that to say that access to sports is easy, it's wide, it's open. To participate, to patronize, to be entertained by it, to invest in it, on and on. And for art, societally, you have to be very intentional about involving yourself in the arts, participating in the arts, being in relationship with the arts. So much so that like it takes a lot of energy and time, and a lot of people, not all people, but a lot of people don't got time for that shit. Right? So then when it's like, well, do I give even budget to both, or do I invest heavily in the one thing that I can clearly see value in? The key word in that hypothetical statement is clearly see value in. And of course the arts is valuable. Of course it's as valuable as sports. It's just the issue for a very long time, in my opinion, based on experience, has been, how does the arts articulate its value to society? How does that happen? Right? What am I talking about? Twitter, for instance, as a platform, is valuable because it's an outlet. Within 140 characters, people can express how they feel. They can share something. They can share news. They can find other people that are into the same stuff as them. They can create. They can do a whole bunch of stuff on Twitter. And for that reason, be it because people are ultimately entertained by it, be it because people use it as a news source, be it because people use it as an outlet, whatever, it establishes value. So people value Twitter. The value for it is clear. The value for Facebook, for Instagram, for music, for the Lakers, for sports in general is clear. And the arts value not so much. And I think when the arts as a field finds a way to contribute to the lives of everyday people, the arts will be valued, patronized, frequented, and championed by the same people that do those very same things with music and sports. And that's valuable because historically, on a planet like Earth, art leads to developments in STEM fields, in science and technology and engineering and mathematics. When we invest in art consistently and robustly, so many other advancements come about. The designs for the first helicopter and airplane came about during the Italian Renaissance from Da Vinci. The Wright brothers would go on to take that design and come up with what we know today as the modern day commercial airplane. Same thing with helicopters. Da Vinci. Saying that to say, when the arts is invested in, everything else flourishes. And we haven't experienced a time like that, like the Italian Renaissance, since the Italian Renaissance. And it's 2021. It's time to see what we can do with everything, with every resource that's available. You know, I want to see some flying cars. I'm kidding. We got to do some work on that one. But I'm just saying, like, you know, art needs investment. Art needs patronage of all sorts in all forms of art. Art needs access. And the answer to why most budgets in public schools, for instance, are uneven in terms of arts education or art budget is because the arts hasn't demonstrated value clearly throughout society. You know, it's funny, like a lot of artists that I've spoken to, with no disrespect, think that it's like it's not their job to teach anyone or do anything or do this and that. It's about their art and da-da-da-da. And that's 100% true. Like, can't argue that. You really can't. Seriously. At the same time, it's like, do you really want a bunch of people to look at your art on like 75% or 50% or 40% or 80% or 99%? Like, my logic to sharing stuff with you guys and talking about art is because I want to help people or contribute to people's art literacy so that when they see art, they see it in its roundness, in its fullness, right? Without being puzzled, without feeling intimidated, without thinking that there's such a thing as a wrong opinion, so much so that they don't feel like sharing it. I always think that's so unfortunate to have something that you think about, something that's visual, and you're like, yeah, fuck that, I'm not gonna say it. Because you think there's a standard answer. It's bullocks to me. Right? Like, even the idea of me saying bullocks. I'm from New York City. Bullocks is some London shit. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people would hear that and be like, you ain't. But we're part of a diaspora. You know what I mean? And why not? Why not be as clear as I possibly can, as articulate as I possibly can, as memorable and as unique as I possibly can? For the arts to be patronized as robustly as sports is, we as creatives and patrons and people, art lovers and people in relationship to the arts, need to contribute to demonstrating the value of this field and the value of participating, the value of being interested in the arts. What happens when you have children that grow up in a household full of art? Does that raise their IQ? Does it increase their ability to memorize things? Does it affect their diet in an auspicious way? Does it affect how they socialize? Does it affect how they speak to people, how they relate to adults? Who knows? I'm gonna check out in a bit.